Hello everyone and welcome back to another Sims 4 speed build. This time we're doing a little bit of a different one, only in that my plan for this particular build, it was basically Airbnb. Because we have the opportunity to set up vacation lots where we would like them. I've been trying to think about more how to build houses in a way that my Sims can go visit. Like they'd have most everything they need to go spend a couple days relaxing, especially because I've been playing a lot more particular storylines or like family Sims, legacy things. I want to be able to take my Sims on vacation. So, you know, I did that Granite Falls lot not too terribly long ago, and then I was thinking I really would love to go visit Sulani. So I'm building a Sulani lot today that I went into it with the idea of like this was a rentable cabin. Somebody could definitely live here, I think, with a couple of quick tweaks, and I do have it set up to be pet friendly. With a couple of quick tweaks, though, it could totally be like a full family house. It's pretty much set up that way, but I wanted to make sure it had like all the things you might need on vacation. This sunken area, it stays, but I was trying to make it look really cool. Like there was like a built-in wall feature. Like I wanted basically one of those cutaway, I don't even know what you would call them, but a lot of houses that were built in like the early 2000s have them where it's like a shelf, but it's like super high up in the house, like over a doorway or something, like a cutout, so that the room, like the bedroom or whatever, was your standard like 8 or 9 foot wall, but like maybe it was vaulted ceilings in the living room, so then there's like the cutout over the top of the room where you would put theoretically decorations. Most people I knew put like random stuff for storage. I tried to do something like that, but it ended up not working. It ended up platforms are funky. Platforms are just funky sometimes, and they don't like to necessarily behave super well, and so I ended up going ahead and getting rid of that later on. But the initial plan had been to have a wall, so I ended up just making the whole wall there. You could easily cut into it and do something else. I did want the diagonal wall though, but you can see the platform just, it continued to bug me throughout the build. This build also is kind of funny because it's one in a series of builds that I was really excited about and started it on, and then life got crazy and it just got ignored for a really long time. And then when I came back to The Sims, I had an idea for a different build, and then I forgot about this one. This one didn't languish in obscurity for too terribly long, but it was long enough that you can definitely see when like the footage, you can see the split in the footage where like I came back in with a slightly different plan than I had to start. I also had to do 2 different foundations on this house because platforms, you can't sink platforms into what's the word I'm looking for, like the pillar ones, the like stilted foundations, which makes sense when you think about it. So I ended up making it look like the house was maybe on stilts but covered up by that lattice work, which is really common where I live. People will cover up like an open porch or something with lattice work to keep animals out and stuff, or you know, to keep meddling small children out and keep balls from rolling under and stuff. So I ended up just doing that and then doing stilted on the deck situation. So it's a very small little house. Very, like, if a family was actually going to live here, it would probably be a little bit annoying because like the quote-unquote master suite is itty-bitty, but I really like the colors in that. And halfway through this build, I managed to get my hands on a bundle, so I got a couple more packs. So there's definitely some different design aesthetics happening in this house than maybe are usual, but will very quickly become very common in builds because I'm having so much fun building with those new packs. But I built this one, and then I don't think I have it recorded for the channel, but I ended up building another one because I actually imagined like 2 or 3 different layouts for like tiny beach bungalows all nestled together. One I ended up using, I'm doing a rags, which is just in my personal time right now, which means I play about once every 2 weeks on them, but they just were able to move into a house. It's just a shell, but they got one of the other layouts. And after building it for her, I'm not terribly pleased with it. It needs some tweaking and some brainstorming and stuff before I put it up on the channel, because there were some things about it where I'm not particularly pleased. Which is why you always should test things, because sometimes I'll be like sitting, you know, at work or something, and I'll think in my brain, I have a really good idea, and then I'll go to build it and I'm like, this was a really bad idea, because I wasn't necessarily thinking within the restraints of the game. You know, like I wasn't thinking on a grid, or I was thinking perhaps about a wallpaper that I thought existed but doesn't exist or something like that, or at least doesn't exist in my game currently. But I digress. I really like the way this house turned out. The outside is my least favorite. The stuff to do I really like, and like the little eating area outside and all of that I really like. The actual house itself, I'm not a huge fan of. I ended up just going mostly blues because I didn't really like I said, I had like a floor plan in my head. I didn't really have an idea otherwise, and so it was kind of hard to figure out the outside. I did put a lot of stuff out there for you people to do, and I was trying to think, like I said, Airbnb, so lots of fun ways to hang out on the beach, lots of fun ways to enjoy the environment. I did create that little cut-in space. I don't know if this is fairly common everywhere, but when I lived in and around Seattle, we used to go to Ocean Shores, and Ocean Shores has a lot of these little like campsites and stuff, and some people build little cottages, and some people bring their motorhomes, and some people build bigger houses. But a really common trait down there is the houses, especially like on or near the beach or in a little community like that, will have these little tucked away areas that you can put a lock on, and it doesn't necessarily prevent people from getting in and stealing stuff, but it makes it less fun to get in and steal things. And so you can put like your beach supplies and stuff in this little like lockable area, and usually the fences are about as tall as a person. So you'd have to, hop it and stuff. And so I kind of added that for the trash can, and I put a little bike in there and like a little fishing thing if you wanted to try fishing or something. Originally I was going to try to stick really hard into the island living, and I did a little bit, but then I pretty quickly walked away from just working on the island living stuff. I really, really like it. I love the island living stuff, but I think it lends itself really hard to like being stuck in that pack. It doesn't match a lot of other things. It can be a little difficult to use some of the stuff in that pack, but like I love these beds and stuff. I'm trying to remember, I don't think I end up sticking with these beds. This room really fought me because I had an idea in my head of what I wanted, but I couldn't get it into The Sims, which was really unfortunate. And that was honestly a little bit of like most of this house. I could see it really clearly in my head, and I just couldn't quite articulate it in The Sims, but I'm still really, really pleased with how this house came out. So I'm really, really pleased with the little dining area, and I really think the kitchen's quite cute. I am absolutely 110% obsessed with the fridge I use in this build. I think it's the fridge I use just about every day. I just think it's cute. I love vintage, which is on trend right now, which is lovely, but you can ask anyone from little bitty on. I was always that weird kid who was like, let's go garage sailing. Let's go find vintage toys and things. I love vintage, and so I really love that I think there's a company now that's like bringing, like they do like vintage inspired appliances, and I'm like, that's great. Unfortunately, it probably won't run as well as like a truly vintage piece, because there are some fridges that you can like put through hell and back and they'll do just fine, and you don't see that so much in your modern fridges as you do your vintage ones. But that's cool they're bringing back the styling, because the styling is really cute. I know it's gonna totally look outdated in like 2-3 years, but I'm loving, like I said, the like 50s inspired kitchens and stuff that are coming back. It's super cool. This kitchen is not that. I just used kind of the vintagey fridge from, I think, Cottage Living. I love that fridge. I love that fridge so much. I wish, like, the fridge very much screams like 1940s, 1950s to me, but the oven screams a little bit older. I do wish there was like a slightly more maybe like decade era something appropriate stove with that. We did get a nice stove fridge combo from, I think it's Jungle Adventures. That's kind of that era. It's really fun, but I digress. I love all those I love both of those fridges, and I actually really like both of those ovens. I just the oven from Cottage Living to me looks older than the fridge, if that makes sense. But anyways, I've been talking for quite a while here. I think I'm just going to let you guys enjoy the rest of the video. I hope you like this build as much as I do. I'm really happy with how it turned out, and I'm actually really glad I let it sit and then came back to it, because I think it got a breath of fresh air that it really needed. I hope you guys are having a great day. I hope you're feeling very loved, and if you're not, please remember that I love you, and you got this, and you'll make it through your day, and I'll talk to you all very soon.